Welcome back. This is Tim Harris, and we are interviewing today Mr. Eric Orland, and this is part of the World's Greatest Agent Interview series. And Eric is going to be shedding a lot of, I think, insights into a lot of things that's taken for him to be successful for decades and decades, but also how he's really, I think, hit the hard reset in his life at a time where a lot of people don't think that they can. So, Eric, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of background about yourself, your work history, and then, let them know about the fact that you're not just pure real estate. I think we'll roll into the questions.
Good morning, Tim. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Oh,
Good
by
to
the
see
way,
you.
if slobber starts to run out of the corner of my mouth, it's because I just got back from the dentist.
I was going to say, I'll be sure to let you know. Absolutely. It's good to see you.
You too.
My background. I have been in the industry, the real estate industry, for over 30 years. I didn't do a whole lot when I first graduated from college, which was way back in 1984. I graduated from UCLA. What I became very good at was playing beach volleyball. And it wasn't until I was 30 and I was marrying into a family where my wife-to-be was going to run the White House Women's Office for Bill Clinton, and her sisters, Dee Dee Myers, the former White House press secretary, that my in-law said to me, we love the fact that you're out there getting tan and having fun with your life, but how are you going to be able to provide for our daughter that you're planning on marrying? So I got into residential real estate. I had a great run in residential real estate. It's the first time in my life, Tim, that I really had success. And I really had a very, very high level of success. Success was somewhat limited in terms of length of time, in that when we moved back to Washington, D.C., so my wife at the time could work for a sitting president, I obviously couldn't take my real estate clients with me. And I started to teach others how to build a significant real estate organization. I've always believed two things. The more you give, the more you ultimately wind up receiving, number one. Number two, Tim, when you tell somebody you're going to do something or how to do something, it almost puts you in a position of accountability, like you have to follow through on what you said. So I started teaching agents around the country how to run a profitable and efficient real estate business. And very much like my personality, I had decided after we left DC that I wanted to get my hand involved in investment banking for the obvious reason: the payoff is mammoth. And without an MBA from Harvard, Stanford, or Wharton, quite frankly, nothing more than a sociology degree from UCLA, I talked my way on to the trading floor of one of the biggest investment houses in the world, a company called Robertson Stephens. Quite frankly, I didn't love that career at all, but I did make a good deal of money. Was great at building my organization, terrible at investing, quite frankly. And I wound up basically coming back to doing what I love to do, Tim, which is teaching real estate, sharing about something that I'm passionate about. And I had some successes. And I come from a family of overachievers. My younger brother's a vascular surgeon. My sister's a Yale physician, married to a Yale physician. And at 58, quite honestly, the unthinkable happened. I wound up going bankrupt at 58 years old. And I think, family members thought I had completely lost my mind. It was so bad that I had to call my brother and sister and say, hey, could you see your way clear to loaning me $2,500? And I had heard about this EXP platform 3 years prior to me losing everything. And when we're riding a wave of success, Tim, that self-talk that we do, oh, I'm all important, I'm all this, I'm never going to talk to a realtor. Well, life threw me a curveball. I was 58. My son, my one and only child, who's the love of my life, had just gotten into Syracuse University, a private school in upstate New York that's $80,000 a year. One of the saddest moments of my life was having to look him in the eye with tears running down my face and saying, hey, Jackson, I can't afford to pay for your college education. I didn't know how I was going to put a roof over my head or put food on the table. And I came back and I looked at EXP without any other options in my life. And what I quickly came to realize was that there were no holes that needed to be plugged. The model is just what the model is. And I took the time, I put forth the effort, and I embraced all of these incredible tools with the mindset that I was going to go out to other realtors and simply share this incredible model that offered realtors for the first time ever multiple streams of income, which is obviously better than having one stream of income. Tool, system, support, and technology that assured that a realtor would do more production. And I simply went out there with the mindset that I was going to share this, Tim, in the most spiritually healthy way possible to see if somebody was open-minded and if this model could possibly or would possibly resonate with the direction that person wanted to take their real estate business. And I believed in my heart of hearts then, as I believe today, that unless a realtor was wearing blinders or had their hands over their ears, they would have to attest to the fact that more often than not, this model aligned with the direction that most wanted to take their business. Kept my head down, I kept my mouth shut, and I stayed very focused. And it's been one of the greatest gifts of my life. I could look dead into the camera and say in 4 years, I have an organization that is now approaching 2,600 people. 2,600 people in my organization. I've never had more fun building something. I've never gotten up each and every morning more excited to come to work and simply share this model with other people to see if it benefits them.
That's the reason that's the reason I wanted to have you on this interview series, frankly, because I mean, everything you just said, I mean, I felt a tiny, tiny little tear, just a small one.
I knew I'd get to you emotionally. I even got dressed up for you today.
So you and I met when you started at EXP. That's when you and I became friends. And I remember when you were you were going through a lot of those emotional tribulations with regards to your son's school and essentially hitting rock bottom financially and the rest of it. But Eric, you did something that most people don't realize that they can do as well, is you hit the hard reset button on every aspect of your life, not just financially, but just everything. And it was not easy for you, because here you are, somebody that's gone from, I mean, we can call it whatever you want to call it. You're a banker. You had this position of prestige. You were, somebody who had a long track record of people, essentially they always looked up to you. You've always been a leader in the real estate industry and everything you did. I mean, everything, right? And then all of a sudden you find yourself you're on rock bottom. And most people at that point, they give up. They give up, and they don't just simply throw their arms up in the air and say they give up, but they never even try to fight back. They never even try to actually build back. And I'll never forget the conversations that you and I had many, many times, where we were talking about the fact that you were just getting ready to get started, and you kept on saying, I'm going to kill this thing. I'm going to do something that's never been done before. And, based on your background, I mean, that did make sense, because you definitely have a long track record of success, and you did it. You absolutely kicked ass.
Thanks, buddy.
And I don't know, I think this is true, but your organization is one of the fastest growing organizations in the history of EXP. So what I'd like to do, with your permission, is I would like to get into, well, first of all, we can't talk about money much, can we? Can we say that the difference in essentially what, as far as income goes, this is something that is set in place for you to be making at least 7 figures per year in passive income within the foreseeable future. What does that mean to you? From 4 years ago, where you were basically flat broke, to now essentially having $1 million in passive income per year, plus. Share with the listeners, because Eric, please help me reach the people that also have maybe they've given up on themselves. They've given up on what they can achieve in life. How did you hit that hard reset? And what does it feel like to have actually done it in retrospect?
Yeah, now you got me getting emotional. Wow. Sorry.
Well, that's the reason I call you our group's most valuable player, and I mean it. And I know you never have accepted that, that praise, but it's the truth. You are the VIP of Libertas for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I think, when I lost everything at 58, not only did I lose my money, I lost a part of myself. I quickly wondered, questioned my own stability. I questioned who I was as a father, my ability to provide for those that I love. But I knew that I would swim through rivers and crawl over mountains if I had to, that I absolutely needed to leave a legacy for my son. I knew that I needed to regain his trust, regain his credibility. And for that, there was no price that I wouldn't pay. I would do absolutely anything. And what I realized is that the founder of EXP, Glenn Sanford, was brilliant in that he created this model that allowed me to dream, that allowed me to take what he created and build something that I never imagined possible. So, EXP restored not only me financially, and I said this to my girlfriend the other day. I said, isn't it nice? We just got back from New York and Connecticut yesterday. And I said, isn't it nice that we could take a trip? We can go to any restaurant that we want to and not have to think about money anymore. 4 years earlier, I was on my third night. We were on our third date, Tim. And I turned around to Irene and I said, this may sound kind of weird to you or uncomfortable. Lack of class, whatever you want to call it. I said, but this is 4 years ago when we started to date. When I first joined EXP, I said, could you see your way clear to loaning me $5,000? That was how bad it was. I didn't have a penny to my name. And the fact that I could look into the camera and say, I've created an income that's going to pay me over $1 million this year passively. I sometimes get up in the morning and pinch myself and think, am I going to wake up? Am I in a dream right now? And am I going to wake up and, have to face, an ugly reality? And the truth is, I'm here, I'm live, I'm talking directly to you from my heart and telling you that EXP has transformed my ability to take care of myself and those I love. But maybe more importantly, what it's done is allowed me to have a relationship with myself again, knowing that, I'm talented, knowing that I was able to build something when many people considered me down and out. It restored my faith in me.
Well, you're more of a leader now. I'm going to venture a guess. I've only known you for 4 years, but you're more of a leader now than you probably ever have been in your life, because you're seeing the direct effect of the people that you're helping. Not just, and all the things that you do on a regular basis to inspire others, like this interview, but also the actual no bullshit approach you've taken to build your revenue share group, which I'm sure everyone wants to hear about, and we're going to talk about in a second. Mm-hmm. But I hope everyone listening understands that everyone can do it. Some of the greatest businesses and the greatest business people in the history of the world have been started by people who are in their 50s and sometimes in their 60s. And I can rattle off lots of examples. My favorite is Enzo Ferrari. But so wherever you are in your life, you're not too young, you're not too old, you're not too fat, you're not too rich, you're not too poor, you're not too smart, you're not too anything. You just got to basically realize that you can be ultimately what Eric's, what's emotionally getting at him is that he's financially free, and maybe more financially free than he ever has been in his life. I mean, am I hitting the nail on the head? Is that how?
Without a doubt. I mean, in the past, I would make a ton of money and then lose a ton of money. Now I've got a passive income stream each and every month. I know I'm going to make in excess of 6 figures.
So that's something I'm imagining we have people that are going to be watching and listening to this that aren't going to quite understand. When we say passive income, these are real estate people that are listening, right? So you're Eric Orland, you're with eXp Realty. What's your phone number, by the way, in case somebody wants to text you? Because I'm sure a lot of people
415-595-9000. 415-595-9000.
And you're encouraging anybody that wants to connect with you after this.
Without a doubt. I love, Tim, as I said before. Today, it's like a labor of love for me. I love sharing EXP and seeing if I could be of service to another individual to see if, in fact, this platform aligns with the direction they may want to take their business.
So let's talk about this passive income thing, because that's something that conceptually, intellectually, people can't almost give themselves permission to actually experience. So help them understand, it seems like a silly question. Passive income, I buy rental properties, that's passive income. That's not passive income. Rental properties aren't passive income. I mean, maybe dividends from a stock or something like that. Maybe that's passive. I think that's probably, but nothing like EXP revenue share.
Whether I sleep the rest of the month away or the rest of the year away, I am going to make a 7-figure income this year based on the organization that I've built. So I have 2,500 and I want to say 2,550 people in my organization today, thereabouts. Every time one of those people make a sale, the company is going to provide me the good fortune of receiving an income by sharing their revenues with me. So in every single time one of the people in my organization makes a sale, I am going to receive the benefit of that sale and provide me a sustainable income. The other thing that happens is, out of those 2,550 people that are in my organization, each and every one of those individual has the same opportunity that I had, Tim, to go out there and build an organization. And as they're out there in an effort to grow their organization, as they're having success and bring people into their organization and build it, what happens is my organization continues to grow simultaneously. Perfect example is this. I have sponsored, I believe, 2 or 3 agents in the last 30 days. Yet my organization grew by over 120 people. Folks, I'm going to say that again. Think about how powerful. I've only sponsored 3 people in the last 30 days, yet my organization grew by over 120 people. Let's say on the average, I make $40 per person that's in my total organization of 2,550 people. Let's say on the average, I make $40 per. Okay? And let's say this month, let's keep the numbers simple. Let's say I only brought in 100 people. Well, if I make $40 per person that's in my organization, and I brought in 40 people, if I make $40 per person that's in my organization, and I only brought in 100 people this month, do you realize, Tim, that's an extra $4,000 a month? $4,000 a month. Now that's on top of the income. So if that's $4,000 a month, and let's say I just duplicated that each and every month without me doing anything, my organization grew by 100 people at $40. That's $50,000 a year. That's brought in $50,000 each and every year
per month
on top of what I'm making right now.
So it's actually an additional, so this is something that's important to understand. You brought in 100 people. You didn't bring in 100 people. You brought in 3 people.
I brought in 3.
Yeah. This month I recruited 1 person and our group grew by like 160 people. Right. I mean, so the point is that you recruited 3 people, you sponsored 3 people, but all the other people that were coming in were from the other people in your group. And that's the thing. That's the thing that's mind boggling, and I'm going to take a sidestep because this is important, for a lot of the folks, especially at EXP, the work, and you have done this just as I have. So I love the fact that you'd help me kind of explain this. The real work is from 0 to 250. It feels really, really hard from 0 to 100, a little less hard from 100 to 250. And then around 250, 350, it starts to get a little bit easier because your people start adding people. I mean, you want to talk about that? I'm sure you get that question a lot.
Yeah, I messed up that whole example I gave. So I want to come back because this is really, really important. All right. So the numbers are astounding and I screwed up the numbers. Okay. So let's say I make $40 on the average per agent that's in my organization, regardless of where they're staffed. And I only brought in, not from my efforts, but the efforts of others. And I own 100 agents came into my organization based on the efforts of others. That's $4,000 a month. Each and every month from that 1 month, 4,000 times 12 months, Tim, is how much? It's almost $50,000. If I did that each and every month, right? $50,000 times 12 months is another $600,000 in addition to what I'm making right now. I apologize. Those are the numbers.
No,
so
that's
$40
right.
per agent per month at 100 a month. That's $4,000 a month. Each and every month from those 100 agents. At the end of a year, I'm going to make almost $50,000 from the group of agents that came in month 1. If I simply duplicate that, or the people below me duplicate that, folks, that's $600,000 a year. And I had absolutely nothing to do other than have an organization in place. And based on the efforts of others, I added $600,000 to my income on top of what I make right now.
And what are your expenses against that? You're not generating leads. You're not dealing with real estate transactions. You're not building a real estate team. You're not worrying about branding and marketing. You're not worrying about your errors and emissions insurance. You're not worrying about closings. You're not worrying about title insurance. You're not worrying about interest rates. You're not worrying about all things. You just focus your best energies every day on recruiting for yourself, but also then reinforcing those that are in your group that are needing help, or the generals or the unicorns that are really starting to build. Like you have somebody in your group who's got Victor, right? 700 people in his group. You got Tomas that has 400 people. You have Orlando Montiel, and let's talk about Orlando next. Do you have Orlando Montiel who's got like 22 or 2,300 people, I think? Right. And so these are all people. So I'm gonna try to explain this, listeners, because this is, again, I think this is the greatest gift to real estate agents ever. This is the 7th wonder of the world, what we're talking about now. I'm frankly so glad that Eric is comfortable talking about revenue share and we didn't end up talking about marketing, but because this is really important. This will change your life if you allow it to, percolate in your brain a little bit. So when Julie and I started at EXP in January of 2019, I didn't know Eric, didn't know him, never met him before. Had no connection with him. He had no connection with Julie and I. So I sponsored somebody who then introduced us to Eric. So this person, I sponsored this one person, and then that one person sponsored Eric. Remember, I didn't know Eric when we started. Eric then sponsored somebody named Orlando Montiel, actually Danny Montiel, his brother. And then those guys end up sponsoring, thousands of people. Now, I didn't know when Julie and I started in January of 2019. I only knew the guy I sponsored on our first level. I didn't know Eric. I didn't know Orlando. I didn't know Danny. And I didn't know all these other people that came in after that. And if you look at some of the biggest, revenue share groups, and we're one of the biggest revenue share groups, generally speaking, almost all of their building, all their numbers have come from maybe 2 or 3 leaders like Eric or leaders like, Orlando. That's where almost all the growth comes from. So I'm sharing that. Maybe this is, speaking to the choir as far as EXP agents, but the reality of it is, it doesn't matter who it is. If you keep sponsoring, if you keep recruiting, it's my ratio. What I've noticed is usually 1 of every 10 people you recruit is going to be a recruiter. Maybe
Mhm.
3 or 4 of the 10 people you recruit, they're going to recruit maybe 2 or 3 people. And the rest of the folks are just at EXP because it's a great real estate brokerage. Do you concur?
Exactly.
Yeah. The numbers kind of speak for themselves,
They do. They
Yeah.
do. The beauty of the model is this, Tim. You're able to pick up this instrument, this phone, and
Yeah.
simply reach out to people, have a conversation, and ask them the following question. Would you be open-minded? Would you be open-minded to exploring a brokerage platform?
Let's do this formally, okay? Because this is where I think people are really going to value what you've done. All right, so you have built all of your you don't hardly do any, you do social media, but social media is not a big thing for you.
Not
You're not doing live events. You're not doing all the other expensive branding, marketing things to recruit agents, sponsor agents. What you're doing is
picking up the phone and introducing myself to people to see if they'll be open-minded to exploring a brokerage platform that may in fact align.
Can we role play it?
Sure. So I typically start up strictly in a cold call, or is an appointment that's been set for me. You want me to do a cold call?
Yeah, I'll be the agent. I'm going to make it easy on me.
Hi, Tim. Eric Orland. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Tim, congratulations. I saw that you just took a brand new listing at 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Speaks volumes to who you are as a real estate professional having success in this market. Tim, I hope you'll take this call as a compliment to your level of professionalism. Tim, would you be open-minded to exploring a brokerage platform that may allow you to keep more of your hard-earned commissions, but also to may potentially align with the long-term direction you'd like to take your real estate business by offering you multiple streams of income, one of which happens to be a passive income stream? Is that something you might find compelling? And would you be simply open to exploring that together?
I do find it compelling, and I would be interested in exploring it. Absolutely.
Great, Tim. I'm not going to ask you, obviously, for any commitment today. The only commitment I'm going to ask is the following. I'm going to take the liberty of sending you out 2 short videos explaining EXP. One is a 9-minute video. You could almost watch it while you're brushing your teeth. The other is a 30-minute video. And these 2 videos are going to provide you a great overview why EXP is the fastest growing real estate company in the history of real estate and how this incredible platform may positively impact you in growing your real estate business. It will also allow you to formulate any questions that you have for me when I follow up with you. Will you be able to watch these videos within the next 24 to 48 hours?
Yep, I will. 100%.
And I just closed Tim for the appointment, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, so you said there's a whole bunch of keywords you said. The first most powerful thing you said is when you started, are you open-minded, right?
Correct.
I mean, that open. So who's going to say they're not open-minded, right?
Right. Nobody walks around saying, hey, my name is Eric, I'm closed-minded and I'm ignorant, right? Nobody speaks like that. So I deliberately use the word open-minded, and it never, ever, ever is removed. And when I teach others how to build out their organizations, what I encourage them to do is let their inner child speak, formulate the sentences that they want to, but everyone must use the word open-minded. So yes, there are several buzzwords that are here.
No, it's great. So I want to repeat what you said. So you've got scripts that you teach your people in your group. So if someone's going to be sponsored by you, they're going to learn how to sponsor other agents. They're going to learn exactly what you've done. And you actually even role play with them every Friday, and you actually do live attraction calls with them, the whole thing. And you will help them soup to nuts when someone's in your downline and someone's in your group. I mean,
it's important that you mention that, because I think, when somebody entrusts you with your career, right, you have a fiduciary and a moral responsibility to help that person be successful. So yes, I do all of their attraction calls. I do an attraction call. So if somebody has a prospect, they don't need to be great at selling EXP. Quite honestly, there's a lot of moving parts. It could be very challenging. It's something I do particularly well. So anybody in my organization, or anybody for that matter, is able to bring their agents onto what we call our attraction call. I also, every Thursday, I prospect with my agents so they could listen to me asking the questions so they can enhance or hone their own selling skills. So there's a myriad of things that we do to ensure that people are absolutely successful when they're a part of my group.
That's right. And that's the reason that you're obviously your reputation is someone who's a massive giver. And I can imagine you're tapping back into how you felt 4 years ago, and you're trying to help them avoid ever hitting rock bottom, and you're trying to help them have the financial freedom that you've earned for yourself. And you've done it, and it didn't take a bunch of fancy YouTube videos or a bunch of fancy branding and marketing, all this other stuff. You did it by picking up the phone and having conversations that were geared towards trying to help the person on the other end of the phone achieve financial freedom. Is that about right?
I think it's 100% right on. And today, some of my closest friends, Tim, quite honestly, are people that are part of my organization. I'm identifying people today who I like, who I trust. We have common lines of thinking. and we have many of the same goals. So I'm looking for people that want to make something of themselves, people that want to have the success that they're looking for. And typically, people that I genuinely like. And I believe that the more you give, the more that you pour into people, the more that you receive, not just financially, but spiritually, emotionally. I think, you build in so many ways. There's so many benefits by helping others. And that's what our whole platform is about. It's about working closely with the people that entrusted us with their careers to ensure that they have the success that, quite honestly, they want, they need, and they desire.
And yeah, and your group grew by, I think it was around 20% last year, because you have so many people that are attracted to you and the message that you're delivering to the real estate industry, right? People are wanting to be in alignment with you because of your success and the added services and the added benefits they get being with you. What's your phone number again?
415-595-9000, 415-595-9000.
Do you want them calling or texting you, by the way?
Call me. I'm a people person. I love to get to know people, say hello, and see if our goals align and if I could be of service. I really enjoy, again, I just have fun with this. I'm having more fun building out my EXP organization than I ever have had doing anything else in my entire career, whether it was selling real estate, whether it was coaching and training, whether it was being an investment banker, because I feel like I am really not only has it made a huge difference in my life, but I think that anybody that really gets their arms around this and embraces what EXP has to offer really puts themselves in a position to enhance the way they live and provide better for themselves and their family. And man, that's a gift.
Well, it's generational wealth too. You can pass this to your son, and he has a real estate license and the whole thing. I mean, you got your son a license, the whole thing. So this is something like it's just, honestly, it's something that if anyone has a closed mind to the whole concept of revenue share, it's because they've been given bad information, or they have a disbelief that they can actually do it themselves. And the reason I'm hoping you guys internalize what Eric is saying here is Eric doesn't have a big national podcast, or didn't have a big, he was well known in Florida, but he's recruiting everywhere, and he's doing it by picking up the phone. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, he's not calling people that, I'm sure some of them are the ones he actually has a relationship with, but frankly, I'm sure he's already got those people in his group years ago. So now he's actually calling people that he does not have direct contact with. Am I correct?
Without a doubt. I mean, 99% of the people who I brought into my organization came from a cold call. One was Orlando Montiel, which completely changed my life financially.
That's the funniest story ever. So let's talk about that.
So I had moved so I spent most of my adult life in California. I went to school in California and spent 40 years out there. And then I got a bug, and I wanted to come back to the East Coast. I certainly was not going to move back to New York. The weather is good in Florida. I said, all right, I'm going to move to Miami. I told you, I went broke. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And I came and I embraced EXP. And like Tim said, getting to 100, it could be challenging. There were times, I was scratching my head and thought, am I going to make it? Right? I knew I was going to. Because I believe in my heart of hearts, what you think about is what's going to manifest itself in your life. So if you come in thinking small, you're going to receive small. If you come in thinking with a can't do attitude, then it's not going to happen for you. Right? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. So I needed to remain positive, really, really positive. So I moved to Florida, and I was hanging out in my apartment on the beach one day, and I had a bunch of friends over, and we're eating pizza. And I turned around to one of my friends, and I said, what's the name of the Spanish-speaking real estate coach here in Miami? Maybe I was in Miami for 6 months. My buddy said to me, Orlando Montiel. I said, by any chance, do you have his phone number? And his response was, I'll never forget this, Eric, you ever heard of something called Google? And I'm not very tech savvy, right? So sure enough, that moment I Google Orlando Montiel, and I got his voicemail. And normally I do not leave a voicemail message. I want someone live, because if selling is really about solving people's problems and meeting people's needs, I want to have somebody on the phone where I can ask appropriate questions so I can determine if I want to pursue a relationship with them in terms of trying to bring them into my group. So I picked up the phone and I left a message, and I remember it verbatim. I said, hello, Orlando, my name is Eric Orland. I said, I'm a real estate coach, and you and I have some of the same client base. And I've heard really nice things about you as both a human being and the quality of your work. And I simply wanted to call, introduce myself, and see if we could collaborate. Within 5 minutes, my phone rings. Hi, Eric, it's Orlando Montiel. I said, hey, Orlando, how are you? Started small talking for a little bit. And then I asked him what I call the $1 million question. I asked him, I said, Orlando, do you ever get tired of having to work with the same realtors and convince them to use your coaching service or buy your products? He goes, oh, Eric, it is an utter pain in the ass. I said, well, let me ask you, Orlando. I said, have you ever considered taking the relationships that you have and monetizing them so you could have a passive and residual income stream and you don't have to worry about reselling these agents over? He goes, I would absolutely love it. What do you have in mind? I said, Orlando, have you ever heard about EXP? He said, of course, Eric. He said, my problem is I'm a well-known real estate coach and I don't want to do anything to sabotage my core business, my coaching business. I said, I completely understand that. I said, are you familiar with the name Tim and Julie Harris? He said, of course, everybody knows who Tim and Julie are. I said, by any chance, do you happen to know Sean Kokoska, who is my sponsor? I said, do you happen to know Sean Kokoska, one of the founders of Bold? He said, I'm aware of Sean as well. I said, are you aware that they were both part of EXP? He said, Eric, weren't they concerned about sabotaging their coaching business? I said, that's a great question. Perhaps we should get them on the phone. A month later, Orlando Montiel came into EXP and is now greatly responsible for me allowing to have, a 7-figure plus income.
Yeah, and he's one of the nicest, sweetest. He's become like he's
and Daniel. I mean, both of them. We mentioned the name Orlando, and I don't want to lose sight on that. So it's two brothers that are partners that are two of the kindest, nicest, hardest working, diligent people you'll ever meet in your life. So I met him on a phone on a call, but I was talking. You and I were talking offline the other day, and I said today I feel like I have one of the strongest organizations, and I don't know why. I think my attitude's changed, and that I'm not trying to recruit the world. I'm trying to identify people that I genuinely want to work with, that I can have a nice relationship with. And in the last 2 to 3 months, I have brought on, Tim, I'm going to say 4 or 5 potential Orlandos. One of them is a gentleman by the name of Louis Andrew Ruiz. He runs the Louis Andrew Group in Miami. It's the biggest real estate team in all of Miami. They have 60 agents that's part of their team. They do 350 transactions. Met him, Tim, on a cold call as well. Now, it took me 2 years to bring him in. But the message here is we don't get to determine when someone's going to join our forces. The reality is that when somebody is ready to jump, I'm simply there to catch them. I'm not pushing anybody to do anything. I want them to come to EXP when it feels right and appropriate for them and their families. But Louis Andrew, has been with us for 3 months, Tim.
It sounds right.
About 3 months ago. I just had dinner with him in Miami last week, and he showed me his rev share. Can I say it?
Probably not. I don't know all the rules.
Let's just say in 3 months, more money in his rev share. It's company sharing revenues, not that's generated from his team.
From EXP.
More money in rev share. Let's just say north of $50,000.
Wow. That's after
in 3 months. You think he's liking the move he made to EXP? You bet he is. So all of the people that I brought in the last 60 to 90 days, I think I brought in 4 whales, which really puts me in a position, at 2,550 agents. I think I'm just scratching the surface. I see 15, 20,000 as clear as a day is long without forcing people, but by simply sharing this incredible model and making it available to see if it in fact aligns with the direction that they want to take their business.
Ultimately, that's really the bottom line, is that there's not selling is merely being there when people want the help, when they're ready to listen. And I think, should I share that boat story that we learned from Dave? Should I share that?
Yeah.
That'd be appropriate. I'll try to condensed version. Okay. Because this is kind of I think a philosophical life lesson that's definitely relevant when it comes to selling or recruiting for that matter. But I do want to before I tell the story, I want to go back one little step, because you said something that's really critical. That big, team you just brought in, you got that from a call. From Orlando, you got that from a call. From all these others, you got those from a call. Those were not previous relationships. You did not, you had no social or business relationship or connections with these guys at all. You called them, right? That's the thing I want everyone. Now, why am I drilling down on that? Because everyone can do a phone call. You don't think that you need to make it so damn complicated to try to build influence. And, the influencers are the ones that are, the big names in real estate. They have an unfair advantage. It's true. The big names in real estate do have an unfair advantage. But Eric Orland did not have a big name in real estate. He's got a big name in EXP now, but did not have a big name in real estate. He did the real work of recruiting or the real work of real estate. He picked up the phone, he wrote some beautiful, elegant, simple scripts, and he just followed the process. And I remember Eric and I have had this conversation numerous times. When you're recruiting, there's three groups of people, and I'm going to paint this picture for you. Dave Kennard, the former president of EXP, told me this. And I think it's just elegant. So I want you to imagine Eric and I, you and I are in the boat together, buddy. So Eric and I are in this boat, and this is some kind of magical boat. This boat has it's limitless in its size. It's got warm blankets in it. It's got food. This is a great boat. It's it's a rowboat, but it's a boat. And we're in this rowboat because we were just formerly on the Titanic, let's say. The Titanic goes down. Now we're in this rowboat. And the Titanic represents, I think, the old real estate paradigm, the old brokerage model, the old way of thinking about, how much are you paying your broker? The new question is how much is your broker paying you? So Eric and I are in this big boat, and we see three groups of people in the water. Remember, we're in the North Sea. It's cold as cold could be. It's in the middle of the night. The only thing we can see the light from the stars illuminating and bouncing off the ocean. So we can see pretty far into the distance. And because there's not a lot of wave noise, there's no water joscillation, people can hear our voices for a long distance. And Eric and I are going, come back, get in our lifeboat. And these are, remember, three groups of people. So the people that we're having to really raise our voices and yell, so the people that are way off on the horizon are actually going to hear us. Come back. We're going to save you. Come back. This boat is big. There's, it's warm. You're not going to freeze to death or be eaten by a shark. And here's what you see way off in the distance. They can hear you, but some people just keep on swimming away. Others, what they'll do is they'll look over their shoulder and they'll go, I hear you, but I'm going to find my own boat, or I'm going to swim to my own island, or I'm going to figure it out myself. And they keep on swimming away. They keep on swimming away, and they keep on swimming away to the point where you can't see them anymore. And then there's a group in the middle, and those people, you can see them. They're not so far away from you, but swimming in circles. And these are the people that are swimming in circles, swimming in circles. Eric was just describing someone that swam in circles for 2 years, and they're swimming in circles. And they're thinking, I'm going to swim out to sea and find my own boat, or maybe I'll swim to you. So as they go around, the boat's here, right? And they're swimming in circles. And as they're facing us, they're saying, I'm coming to you. And then they swing back around. And I'm going out and swim with the people that are swimming, right? Circles. What should I do? Should I stay at my old brokerage? Can I really build revenue share? Oh my gosh, I'm afraid of changing to a virtual real estate model. I don't understand this. It's all these circle thoughts, right? I want to research everything. I have to have every, rock unturned before I make a decision. Circles. And circle swimming goes on for lifetimes. And people do that in many different manifestations, relationships, spirituality, certainly education, wealth building, all the rest of it. But as pertains to this conversation, we're going to go back on target. Then the third group of people, or really, maybe I should have said the first group of people, are the ones that are actually right by our boat. So Eric and I are in our boat, and we're seeing these people swimming towards us. Some of them have their hands in their air, and Eric and I are pulling them up into the boat. And here's the mistake that everybody makes. It's a mental mistake. And this is true with things in life too. The people that are swimming away from you, you can shout for them, but don't spend all your energy on those people because they're not going to ever swim towards you. Vast majority of them are going to keep swimming away. The people that are swimming in circles, you can shout to them a little bit. You can offer your help a little bit. But unfortunately, what happens probably at least 50% of the time is eventually they swim in circles, they lose their energy, and they sink to the bottom of the sea. The ones you have to focus on are the ones that have their hands in the air and they're saying, I want to get in your boat. I want to be part of the vision. I want to be financially free. I don't want to die in the North Sea and get eaten by a shark. You guys get it? So when you're trying to think in terms of who you're going to, there's so many people out there. I mean, there's 1.5, 1.6 million members of the National Association of Realtors. Remember, not every person in North America, and EXP is in a whole, dozens of different countries, has a real estate or is a member of National Association of Realtors. I've heard differing guesses that there's an additional, in the United States, 1 million different real estate agents that aren't a member of National Association of Realtors. Anyone listening who knows better numbers, feel free to correct me, okay? So you have an enormous number of people that are willing to swim towards your boat if you're willing to put your hand out and offer to help them. And that's what the takeaway message that I'm trying to offer, trying to educate all you guys on. So if you're finding yourself at the top of your voice shouting to people that are swimming away from you, you're making a mistake. And where the big mistake is all the people that swim in circles. Because the circle swimmers will encourage, it's like, buyer leads, after the holidays, when interest rates fall, or when I get my raise at work, you got to not waste your time, on people like that. Look for the people that are ready to actually make a commitment now. And then you're going to find that you'll recruit and frankly sell real estate and have a much better quality of life, because you are focusing on those people that are ready to be part of your, a part of your world, basically. I mean, does that resonate with you?
It does. And I want to, you brought out something really important that I want to piggyback on. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to start recruiting agents. I got my license to be a real estate professional because I like selling real estate. I like working with buyers and sellers. Folks, it doesn't have to be either or. It can be both. You have to remember, if you're out transacting real estate, right, you're either listening to an offer or making an offer. So there's a conversation that exists between you and another real estate professional. If you're in a 60-day contract period, do you not have ample opportunity to have a relationship with the person who you're communicating with? It's a simple add-on to a conversation that already exists. Tim, I have really, really enjoyed having the opportunity to work alongside you over the past 60 days in this transaction. You displayed a really high level of professionalism. Tim, I hope you'll take this as a compliment to who you are. Would you be simply open-minded to exploring a brokerage platform that may allow you to keep more of your commissions and maybe, Tim, aligns with the long-term direction you'd like to take your real estate business by offering you multiple streams of income, one of which, by the way, happens to be a passive income? Is this something you might find compelling? And would you be simply open to exploring together?
So obviously, I mean, if they just say no, or if they say no, not right now, like, so a hard no, the swimming away, or the no, not right now, the circle swimmer, what do you do with those folks?
So we're very adept at understanding that I'm going to hear one of 5 objections over and over and over again. An objection to me is a pathway to a sale. So when somebody says to me, no, I'm not interested, my response is typically, may I ask, what aspect of the EXP platform do you not find compelling? Is it the ability to keep more of your hard-earned commissions, have ownership in the brokerage that you're helping to build, or have the unique ability to have a passive income stream? So for the first time ever, you can get paid like a broker without having any of the disadvantages of being a broker. Would you share with me what aspect of that you do not find compelling?
And that's beautiful. And then similar is, tell me why EXP, when they say no, or they're circle swimming and they're kind of indecisive, you say, well, help me understand, why is EXP the perfect model for you? Or why does it make sense for you? Ask the positive, and then they're going to sell themselves on why they actually know it's right for them. And then you're going to get at the root of what their fear is, which is generally just making a change. That's really almost always what it is.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what are when you're working with someone, I could say there's maybe 6 different types of agents that you're going to be speaking to. And I'm going to play this tape back a second. You aren't doing real estate transactions. I always want to go back to the fact that you built your enormous group from actually picking up the phone and making calls. I don't ever want to get away from that, because I want all of them to really internalize that they can do it too, right? That's the thing. They can do it too. You don't have to be a top producing agent. When Eric was saying, call that person that you've been in contract with for 60 days, that's what he's showing the people in his group how to do. But he's not selling real estate. He's got nobody in contract for 60 days. He's picking up the phone and he's making calls to folks, and then he's introducing them to the model. That's basically all he's doing. You can do it too. If I haven't made it clear.
Yeah. And I again, Tim, it's a really important point. I had a distinct disadvantage when I joined EXP because I hadn't sold real estate in a long time. I didn't have that interaction with other realtors. It was really a true cold call. Me picking up the phone, introducing myself, and asking appropriate questions to see if they'd be open-minded to exploring this model together.
Yeah, that was basically it. And so, I had that previous question, but I think I just thought of a better version of it. What do you track ratios? Are you like contacts to appointments set to the whole thing? Are you like, and after you've made that initial contact and they said yes, then you send those videos, like from contacts to the people that say yes, you send the videos to then those who, you call them 24 hours later. Walk them through the funnel, and if you can throw some numbers at it so these guys can have a benchmark.
Sure. So, the goal is I've created a system. It's called Attraction Flow. And I use my Attraction Flow system as a best friend, as an ally, to strengthen the relationship between me and the prospect who I'd like to bring into my organization. So what happens is I took you through the script before. Somebody's open-minded, right? I send them out the 2 videos. I then follow that up. I have a preset appointment, our second appointment. So I had mentioned before, it also allows you to formulate any questions that you have for me when I follow up with you, will you be able to watch the videos in the next 24 to 48 hours? Somebody says yes. What's going to happen is a half hour before that scheduled appointment, they're going to receive a text from my system telling them I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on the EXP video and, gather your thoughts, yada, yada, yada. That second call is called a rating call. And what I do is I start that off with a very kind of assumptive type of close. Was that not, hey, Tim, how are you? Small talk. I'm always focused on building the relationship. But that leads me to a very assumptive type of question. Tim, was that not the most amazing brokerage platform you've ever seen? Have you ever witnessed a model that allows agents to have that level of tools, systems, support, and technology to ensure their success while offering them a myriad of different income streams? So I get an acknowledgement, yes, right out of the box. I'm putting the conversation in a positive manner right from the get-go. My second question is being a really good listener. Tim, what questions came up for you that I can address? And now is my time to be a really good listener and address that person's concerns.
Eric, let me interrupt you. Eric, let me interrupt you just for a second, and I apologize because I'm getting this impression that we haven't really drilled down on this. You don't spend hardly any time talking about yourself. When you're talking with these folks, all your conversations are focused on them, how you can help them, how to make their lives better. You're not winding it all back at yourself and your awards and all this other hoop-de-doo.
Never.
You're giving them your 100% intuitive attention.
It's really funny that you asked me that question because I talk about this a lot. I think a lot of people in sales think it's your time to be on, the big screen, that you're the movie star and the people are there to watch you. And that's exactly what I don't do. When I am interviewing somebody, when I am working with somebody, my goal is to make them feel like they are the star. I'm sitting there in the audience, eating my warm-buttered popcorn, listening to them, seeing how I could be of service to them. So I am not the focus. They are in the focus. So what I'm asking them is, everything that I say is done in the form of a question. Yes, I'm conveying a statement, but I'm using different tie downs. Wouldn't you agree? You hear me saying that even with Tim, it's my way of speaking today, right? I'm getting people to engage with me because let's face it, who likes being talked to in this world? Does anybody like when somebody is directly talking at you? I mean, think about your interpersonal relationships, right? When you're in a relationship, somebody's talking at you and nagging at you. Don't you want to say, hey, stop it. Enough is enough. Well, if you don't want to be talked at, then don't talk at others. Be great at asking questions and being a really good listener. So that's really, really important.
That's so important. That's again, we teach agents how to do this on our real estate scripts and our coaching program too. You ask questions. You're not talking about yourself. You're focusing all your best interest on not just asking the question and moving on to the next question. You're actually, listening to what they say. You're repeating and acknowledging what they say. But then, you're not getting off your conversation outline, your AKA script. You're staying on target because you're trying to move them towards a goal that they've expressed interest in, which is joining EXP. But you're not just verbally puking on them about how great you are. And I see that as a big. Eric, also, you're not building your group based on your personality. You're not building this based on, I am so great. I am Eric Orland. I am King Eric. You're not building it around your ego. You're building it around the idea that this is a place where everybody can come. You're part of, Libertas. You're part of this overall, you're selling them the ecosystem of people that are providing an honest to God community that's going to reinforce them being very successful selling real estate because you have some amazing producers in your group. Obviously being the community is, you can't really understand how powerful the community is truly. But also the idea that you can build together and have people around you that are all trying to get to the point where they're rich, where their money is working for them and they no longer have to work for their money, or even better, revenue share, so they can be financially free. I mean, that's kind of what the package is. It's not about Eric Orland and look at he sold 1,200 houses last year, for example, correct?
No, it's not exactly. It's the exact opposite. Very often somebody will say to me, I really don't know a whole lot about you. Where do you live? What do you do? And that's when it's appropriate to share about yourself. Remember, it's not about you. It's about the other person. Selling is about solving people's problems and meeting people's needs. And every question that I ask or statement that I make that focuses on me goes against the goal of learning how to solve that person's problem or meet their needs.
And it repels them too. So if you find yourself talking about yourself and, it's ego stuff, right? So look how frequently you use personal pronouns like I. And if you're talking with someone and you're saying I all the time, I promise you that you're repelling, you're pushing them away.
Without a doubt.
in this world, everyone talks like that. I mean, we're living this big narcissistic sort of, Freudian nightmare of social media where everyone's talking about every single thing that used to be a taboo topic even 36 months ago. Everyone's talking about everything, but nobody's actually trying to actually communicate with people and connect with them. And when you're talking with someone, you're sitting there and you're not talking about yourself. You're not waiting for them to shut up so you can start talking about yourself. You're just focusing, listening, and asking more questions. I mean, one of the basic sales techniques is FORD, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. I don't even know. It's as old as dirt. But you talk to people about their family, usually that's going to be the extent of the conversation. But that you ask them questions, and don't just sit there waiting around for the magic 8 ball to be tossed to you where you can now talk about yourself. Don't do that. Just ask them more questions. And Eric said something else there that I hopefully didn't get by you guys. When they pivot and they start wanting to know about you, don't get suckered into basically just blithering about you again. And when they do start expressing interest in you, at that point, they're no longer circle swimmers. They're swimming towards your boat because you've made it past their, the circle swimmers are the ones that don't trust Eric, don't think, I don't know about this DXP thing, blah, blah, blah. It's an MLM, it's whatever. But once they start expressing interest in Eric after he's proven that he's a sincere, caring person, that's when essentially they're going to most likely get in the boat.
Yeah. And in the strength of the questions that you ask, I mean, at the end of the day, I'll always ask people, I mean, the reality is, are you right now, do you have a cap at the brokerage firm where you're working at? In other words, are you maximizing your income earning potential by keeping what's more of what's rightfully yours, your hard-earned commission? Do you have ownership in the brokerage firm that you're helping to build? Do you have something of equity that you could take into your retirement? Do in fact you have? Is the company sharing its revenues with you? Sharing its revenues so you have the financial stability and security that you desire. So what I always do is, Tim, is I match up a feature and a benefit, right? So I'll talk about a cap, for example. Are you keeping more of your hard-earned commissions? Do you have a cap in place so you can keep more of your hard-earned commissions? So I'm constantly coming back to the different features that EXP offers and then clearly stating the benefits in the form of a question so somebody can shine the light on their business and ascertain, is where I'm at really, am I maximizing my income earning potential?
So let's go back to the question and we'll wrap it up because we've been on for 52 minutes. I don't know if you know that. So when you're talking to a brand new licensee, a brand new agent, maybe you're talking to them for yourself or you're talking to them trying to help somebody in your group. Frankly, new agents, they're wanting, I think you'll concur here, they're wanting to know how they're going to be supported. They want to know about the mentor program. They want to basically know how to get transactional as fast as possible. Am I missing anything for new agents?
No, they want to have coaching and training. They want to understand how their broker interacts with them. But no, I think you're on the right path.
And it's not very frequent that they're going to ask about revenue share. I've discovered. I mean,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
So there's no need to talk about revenue share to those
exactly.
people.
That's the reason I'm bringing this up. So when you're and there's no one size fits all way of talking to people. You have to adjust your approach depending on who you're talking with. I mean, it just makes sense. And then from there, I would say the next segment might be the agent that's selling, what do you think, Eric, 15 to 30 houses per year? And that maybe is an agent with one assistant, maybe two assistants. They've been doing it for a while. They're making good money, but they don't really have the savings they want. They don't have the financial security they want. That's when you can start like so that type of possible agent, what is it? What are they looking for?
So you hit the nail right in you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, those agents typically are looking for more financial security. Yep. They're looking to maximize their income earning potential. And that typically plays right into the strengths of the EXP brokerage platform, right? Keeping more of their commission, having equity in terms of a free revenue stream by having equity, by hitting simple production milestones, and then having the good fortune of the company sharing its revenues so they could have a passive income stream. By the way, and Tim touched off on this before, not only does it provide them the financial security today, Tim, that they're looking for, but this is something that they could take into their retirement and ultimately will their business to their heirs. I mean, my 22-year-old son is going to inherit, I mean, it feels weird saying this, $1 million business.
More
$1 million
than
business.
More than that. It'll be way more.
Substantially more than that.
Well, two reasons. One, you're going to live to 100. That's number one. And number two, your group's going to keep growing. So you better be careful how spoiled you decide to make this guy.
But I think what you said is accurate. I think those agents that are doing 15, 20 transactions, they're paying their bills, are moderately successful. They're always looking what's the next step I can take? How do I take my business to the next level? How do I make more money so I can take my family away on nicer vacations, or I could pay for my kids, my retirement, or pay for my kids' education? And then, of course, to me, the easiest people to recruit to EXP are the high producers,
That
are
third
the
group. That's what
biggest,
I was about
are
to
the
say.
whales,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because think about it. The reason, Tim, they're successful is they think outside the box. They're always looking for the next best idea. They're looking for the next best tool to implement into their real estate business. And then it's easy, right? It's really easy. If I could show you how EXP, if I could illustrate for you how EXP might align with the direction you want to take your business by doing A, B, and C, would you be open to exploring? Do nothing more than exploring this together. And then I'll even say to them, Tim, can you be in any better position to simply compare and contrast what you may be getting from your existing brokerage versus what EXP has to offer to see that you are positioned in the best possible manner?
Well, I get excited just thinking about those because I replay all the conversations I've had, just like what Eric just described. And I mean, just cutting through it, you just ask them, what did you pay your broker last year? And then the year before and the year before. Usually they don't remember more than 2 years back. And then if they're what EXP calls icon, so after you cap, if you sell an additional 20 units or have a total GCI of 500 grand, you qualify for icon, whereas you'll get your $16,000 cap back in the form of VXPI stock. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's the gist of it. So when you show them, and I do it in the form of telling stories. Let me tell you about Heath, or let me tell you about Colette. This is they basically have capped every year. They've iconed every year. They've effectively gotten their cap back, and this is what the stock is now worth. And then you got to be careful in this next bit because, I mean, frankly, it can be a little bit crushing for them. I had one, Eric, where they had paid. The biggest one I had was someone was paying their broker, and he didn't know. It took like 3 calls for him actually to send me a little mini one sheet P&L. It was actually a picture on a yellow tablet of paper written down as expenses, $432,000 to his broker 1 year. In the previous year, it was over 300,000. I had another one was at, this is in Iowa, and they had paid something like $330,000 to their broker. How insane is that? And now they're paying, basically they're effectively getting, they're not paying anything. They're getting paid to be at EXP. So that third group, or those agents that are like that are going to immediately see the advantage to them. That's the no-brainer decision for them. And then they also are smart enough to see the advantages of revenue share. And then beyond that are the carry shawls and the really big teams and the groups that are basically like brokerages. Well, carry was a brokerage, and those types of folks too. They're more complicated. Ultimately, they have a lot of moving parts, but the reality of it is it's so much more lucrative for them and so much less stressful. They get their lives back. They start making more money. I mean, there's not very many decisions you can make in life where you can double or 3x your actual net income and actually quadruple, if not 10x your free time. I mean, that's what EXP does, especially for this upper echelon agents.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is.
I know we're almost out of time, but I want to say to those that are listening today, I'm going to break it down for you really simply. There's 3 reasons you're going to be successful in building out an organization. Number 1 is mindset. The limitations that we have in life are the limitations that we set up on ourselves. Period. End of story. Right? Nobody is bigger than EXP. Nobody. What you put into this model is exactly what you'll get out of it. If you treat this as a business, if you treat this as a profession, not as a hobby, then you will have a huge business. If you manifest that you are going to, and remember, it's as easy to aim high as it is low. So my suggestion is always aim high. Be the best version of you. Have the right mindset. Critical in building out an organization, right? Number 2 is hone your selling skills. Tim and I talked a lot about this today. It was my favorite part of our conversation. I really enjoy this, by the way. Thank you.
My pleasure.
But each and every day, I spend time understanding how I'm communicating and understanding what I can do to modify to always be better. None of us come out of our mother's wombs being great salespeople. This is something that you constantly hone your skills on. Being really good at asking questions, understanding that an objection isn't being given to you so someone's a pain in the neck. It's somebody wants assistance in navigating around an obstacle that they're having a problem understanding how to do. So a great salesperson has honed their skills by being good in objection handling, asking the right qualifying questions, and giving a presentation by keeping people engaged. And number 3 is you must have a system. You must have a system in place that assists you in communicating effectively with another individual, because people are going to come in to EXP at different intervals. Some people, like Orlando, was a month. Luis Andrew Ruiz was 2 years. But you need to have a system, a quality system in place, a CRM. And I use a system called Attraction Flow. It's something that I developed myself. It is absolutely spectacular. And without this system, I don't believe I would have had the success that I was looking for. I would encourage all of you, to take the opportunity to explore EXP, to simply see if it makes sense for you, if it's in your best interest, not mine or Tim's, but take the time. You're worthy of having the success that you want. For me, the question isn't about should you join EXP? The question is, when will you be joining to take advantage of these tools and systems so you can be the very best version of yourself?
Yep, I agree 100%. I'm not even going to try to do better than what you just said. It was perfect. So Eric, again, if someone wants to have the mindset, if someone wants to, have proven scripts in a process that they can implement immediately, and someone wants to plug themselves into a proven system, Eric Orland is your definite go-to sponsor for that. So Eric, listen, listeners, if you're looking to land the plane at EXP and you're looking for a sponsor that's going to be very proactive in your success, like I said, Libertas is the name of our revenue share group. Eric Orland is our VIP, most valuable player. And so as far as that goes, if you're looking for a great proven sponsor who can take you from wherever you are to frankly building a group like he has, I strongly encourage you to reach out to him. He's obviously a lovely man. He's greatly improved the quality of my life and my friendships, introduced me to some of the people who I frankly feel like they're, brothers and extended family members for sure. That's the community that we've been fortunate enough to be part of. And Eric's a big part of that. So Eric, if someone wants to get hold of you, of course, sir. If someone wants to get hold of you again, what's that phone number?
415-595-9000. Don't text me, call me. Be great to hear your voice, say hello, and get to know each other.
You have zero clue how many people are going to listen and watch this. And by you telling them to call you, you are going to get so many voicemails. It's going to be hilarious how much you're going to regret not taking my advice and telling them to text you, but I will enjoy that.
No texting. If you're going to reach out, do it this weekend, because come Monday, I'm hard at it again, but I'm around all weekend, living here in Puerto Rico. Pick up the phone, call me. I'd love to say hello and connect with you.
And the phone number one more time, sir?
415-595-9000. 415-595-9000.
Eric, I really appreciated your time today. It was fantastic.
This was fun. I enjoyed this.
Thanks. Thank you, guys. And we're going to be doing 30 to 40 interviews. This one's going to be unique because obviously it's focused on EXP and revenue share. The other interviews we're doing, the world's greatest agent interviews, they're going to be, focused on production and more of the traditional things, but we're going to sprinkle things in. And I challenge any of you who are maybe a little bit, I know sometimes when we talk about it on the podcast EXP, some people get a little bent because of it. But here's the reality. I am morally obligated, and so is Eric, and he touched on this earlier, to share with you guys what EXP truly represents, it could represent to you. And as a coach, and Eric's in the same position, if we don't do it, we're straight up hypocrites. So if someone's in a position of leadership and influence on somebody else, and they are holding back something that they know for sure will help that person in immediate and immense ways, and they don't do it because they're trying to protect themselves, your question that Orlando asked you, aren't they worried about losing coaching clients? I was worried about losing coaching clients. Julie called me out on it and said, you're a hypocrite if you put your focus of losing coaching clients ahead of what we pledge to be, which is always of service to other agents. So hopefully you'll all appreciate the fact that's where we are coming from on this podcast and this video of, being a service to all of you. I strongly encourage you to look out and reach out to Eric, and it's our pleasure and our honor. Have a fantastic day.